In this video we're going to look at how we do VLookups and HLookups. Now these are really useful, especially me as a teacher, but in general when you want to retrieve data from different tables or different sheets in your worksheet, in your workbook rather, based on a certain criteria. So first things first though, we need to talk about cell references. So we've got three ways we can do this. We've got absolute cell references, relative cell references, and named cell references. So I'm going to go through each of those individually. So first things first, we've got this table here that's about calculating discount. So what we need to do is times this by 15% or 0.15 to work out the amount of discount. So we can do it equals that multiplied by that gives us a discount of 675. Now in the basics video, what I would normally have done is clicked here and dragged down. Now what you'll see is I'm getting a hashtag value, some numbers that don't really make sense. I mean 15% of 25 is not 8,000, and that's because at the moment this is a relative cell reference. So you see it's going C4, C5, so this cell here is trying to multiply 20 by the word's amount of discount, so that's incorrect. So to do an absolute cell reference, what we need to do is use dollar signs. Now you can either type them in, or what I found recently an easy way of doing it is highlighting the cell you want to be absolute. So in this case it's this red one here, 15%, and press F4 on your keyboard, and you see it puts a dollar sign before the C and a dollar sign before the 3, and that makes it an absolute cell reference. Press enter and drag down as normal, and you can see that's where it's exactly right. Now I can work out a new price, which will be the normal price minus the amount of discount, and drag down, and that's done. Now a named cell is a little bit different, and what you do is this allows you to use words in your functions and your formulas instead of typing in this case $C3. So I can click here and I could click here and I can make a name up, so I can say discount amount, just like that, and press enter. Now what I can do now is I can do equals the car multiplied by, I can start writing discount amount like that, and you see it's exactly the same. Obviously it's a different value, but that's absolutely why it's absolutely fine. I can drag down and it's very similar to an absolute cell reference because it's just going to look up that discount amount value, which if you go into here and click discount amount, it highlights 24%, so that's always going to be the same. So that is how you do absolute cell references and using named cell references. And your relative cell references are these ones here where you want them to actually change each time. So you want it to go C5, or if it was going across, you want it to say D5 or whatever the value is. So that's absolute, named, and relative. Now a VLookup is a function that performs a vertical lookup of data. So you use it when the data you want to look up is stored vertically, like this. So it's stored one underneath the other, not going across. Now it can be in the same file, or it can be in a different file. So if you've got two spreadsheets open, you can use a VLookup to a completely different spreadsheet if you need to. And how it works is you have a bunch of different parts of the function. So if we type in equals VLookup, let's say it looks up for a value. You see you've got the lookup value, the table array, the index number, and the range. Okay, so first things first, the lookup value in this case is going to be the job code. So I'm looking up the job code. The table array needs to be the data I want to actually look for. The index number, so I've got column 1 or column 2, so I've got column 2. And then you've got true or false. So true is approximate and false is exact. So click that, press enter, and you see because I've gone for true, it's allowed me to get the transport assistant for TA, which is correct. Now if I change that to false, which is the exact match, sometimes you can get, see it's weird this time, sometimes you can get some interesting results. So sometimes if it doesn't quite work how you want it to work, have a bit of a play about between true and false. I think more often than not I use true, but it can change between what kind of data it is. Now, next thing, if I drag this down again, it's going to go weird because these are all the relative cell references. So there's two ways we can do this to fix it. We can either, in our VLookup, I can make this an absolute cell reference, like F4, or what I could do is highlight these and say, highlight them, make a named reference of jobs maybe, and then I can do VLookup A2 and then jobs, and you see it should work absolutely fine. Now, I personally think that although it's probably quite a lot faster to press F4 and make absolute cell references, I personally would go for the named referencing if you can. So quite often I'm doing things like converting numbers to grades. So I'd much rather use a VLookup saying numbers to grades or grades to numbers or whatever the calculation is in my function, because it makes it easier to read, especially if you revisit it. Now the next thing we're going to do is a Hitch lookup. So your Hitch lookup is exactly the same as a VLookup, except for it does it on horizontal data. So this is when your data goes across like this. Again, exactly the same process. You can use multiple files, you can use different files. It's essentially the same thing, it's just going across. So again, I'm going to have to highlight these. I'm going to make a named reference. I'm going to say, I don't know, jobs2, and I'll do equals Hitch lookup. Double click, my lookup value is exactly the same again, it's going to be that TA. My table array is going to be jobs2. My index number is, so instead of being the columns, it's the row, so it's going to be row 2 again, and then I'll go for true. Again, I'll drag that down. And there we go, we can check that right. So S should be for scheme structure, S is for scheme structure. That's worked absolutely fine. So that is your Hitch lookups and that is your VLookups, as well as your types of references. So these are going to be something that's going to get used quite a lot. You more often than not are going to get asked this in an IGCSE practical exam as well. But you need to make sure you are checking things, especially when it comes to references, whether or not they want you to use a named range or to use an absolute reference or a relative reference. Just make sure you are reading those questions properly, because otherwise you might go wrong. If they ask you to do a named range, then you've got to do it, but I have seen some saying don't use a named range. Hopefully that was nice and insightful, and it'll help you out when you're doing VLookup and Hitch lookups in whatever you're doing or in your exam. And for the next video, we're going to look at counts. So we're going to look at using the count function to add up certain things, count A and count